after the Second World War, both Sweden and Finland decided to be neutral countries. And that, during the Cold War, worked very well for them because the northern area, where you had countries like Iceland, Norway and Denmark in NATO, but Sweden and Finland out, kept a sort of balance. So the situation up in the north was quieter during the Cold War than it was in Central and Eastern Europe. But the Finns and the Swedes really believe that that situation has changed now. They've seen that the policy of non-alignment no longer guarantees them security against Russia. They've experienced Russian cyber attacks or what they call hybrid warfare campaigns from Moscow. Their airspace has been violated. Russian submarines have been entering Swedish territorial waters. And so they have seen very well with the situation in Ukraine that if you're not a NATO member and you're only a NATO partner, NATO does not put troops on your territory or as an alliance come to your assistance if you are attacked. It's only NATO membership that gives that security guarantee. And I think that the Ukraine conflict has therefore been the trigger, if you like, which has made them have a rethink and now put the option of NATO membership seriously on the table.
And a stunningly quick turnaround following these polls, given just almost a few weeks ago, there weren't actually a huge amount of support in Finland for the idea of joining NATO. So really fast there. But in terms of the practical joining of NATO, how quickly could this happen? Let's take Finland as the example, and any sort of complications.
No, I don't think there'll be any complications because what NATO simply needs is Finland or Sweden to come to Brussels and put its letter of application for membership on the table. There's not much that NATO can do except sort of prepare informally before that happens. But Sweden and Finland have been very close partners of NATO for several decades already. They've participated in NATO operations in the Balkans, in Afghanistan, in Libya, in 2011. They have achieved an extremely high degree of interoperability with NATO. They participate in all of NATO's big exercises. So to be frank with you, when I was at NATO, Finland and Sweden were allies in all but name. And lately, Finland has been buying a lot of American equipment, for example, the F-35 Joint Strike Fighter. So as I mentioned, they are fully compatible. They've done all of the homework, and therefore their accession to NATO would go much, much faster than it would be for countries, for example, like Ukraine, which are in a much lower state of technical military preparation. This said, one big issue is that getting the ratifications through the 30 NATO parliaments, which is a condition for the NATO treaty to be extended to Finland and Sweden, that can take a year. And in view of the perilous situation with Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Finland and Sweden probably don't want to wait that long. So that's why the NATO Secretary General, Jens Stoltenberg, has interestingly proposed that Finland and Sweden, from the moment that their membership application is accepted, be given a NATO security guarantee to cover that sort of grey zone period before the ratifications are completed.
Interesting, yeah, to provide those protections just in case. Now, we are more than 50 days into Russia's, we're going to call it renewed invasion of Ukraine. No end in sight currently, unfortunately, and intensifying attacks in the Donbass region as of today, according to reports on the ground. What are your major concerns at the moment?
Well, obviously, Russia, having sort of dispersed its forces and got bogged down in the initial phase, is now concentrating its forces in one big attack in the Donbass. From a Russian perspective, that makes strategic sense because they have Russian forces there already. They have Russian-speaking allies in Donetsk and Luhansk. And, of course, their supply lines from Russia are much shorter. And that should solve some of the supply and logistics problems they had, for instance, in the first phase when they were trying to seize Kiev. So the key thing, I think, now is to blunt this Russian offensive so that Russia again gets bogged down and Putin has to sort of rethink his whole strategy and maybe think about some kind of ceasefire or Russian withdrawal, which means that it's urgent, and I agree with President Zelensky on this score, that the weapons from the NATO countries, howitzers, air defense, anti-ship weapons, artillery, the things that can really push the Russians back, that those arrive very, very quickly, and that Ukrainians are trained on Western equipment, because at the moment they're receiving a lot of old Soviet era equipment, which of course is what they know how to use, but those stocks are going to dry up quickly. So we need to switch them to Western equipment where the supply lines are much longer as quickly as possible. Blunt the Russian offensive, don't let Putin get away with it, and then it's, I think, easier to look towards some kind of political resolution of this conflict.
Get the weapons there quickly and make sure everyone is trained on knowing how to use them. Jamie, while we've got you, I just want to get your response to these comments we actually had from Janet Yellen last week, talking about other countries undermining the international approach to sanctions against Russia. She said those perhaps seeking an opportunity to gain by preserving their relationship with Russia and backfilling the void left by others. She said they won't let that go unmissed. Who do you think she was speaking about here?
Well, if you look at votes in the UN General Assembly, those countries that have sat on the fence and abstained, there are about 35 and 36 of them, and they include obviously some significant countries, particularly in terms of the World Economic and Trading System, like South Africa, like India, for example, along with many African countries that have been receiving Russian energy and Russian military supplies. And that's why I think the United States has started with the EU a kind of diplomatic charm offensive vis-a-vis these countries to really persuade them to get off the fence and to join Western sanctions. I mean, a country like India, which has significant amounts of Russian energy and Russian weapons, but which is also joining the United States in the Quad in the Indo-Pacific, which is aimed at containing China. A country like India, which way it goes, east or west, is a very interesting test case here. So yes, it's a bit unfortunate that we still have these 36 sort of sit on the fences, but it's going to be interesting to see if over the next couple of weeks, American financial pressure, diplomatic pressure, the charm offensive I mentioned, can persuade them to get off the fence and join the Western camp, because that's the best way of ending the war as quickly as possible.